The flashing red and blue lights pierced through the night like daggers. I was only 5 minutes from home when the sirens roared behind me. I checked my speed, 35 in a 40. No broken taillight. No rolling stop. Nothing. Still, I pulled over. As I rolled down the window, the air outside felt heavier than it should have. The officer stepped out of the patrol car slowly, methodically, like he had all the time in the world. His boots crunched the gravel as he approached. My heart was beating faster than I cared to admit, not because I'd done something wrong, but because something felt off. "License and registration," he said flatly, but there was something chilling in the way he said it. Cold. Calculated. I handed over my documents. He didn't even look at them. He just stared at me. That's when I saw his face clearly, Officer Daniels. And my stomach dropped. Daniels wasn't just any cop. He was the same guy my wife had mentioned in passing once or twice. "Oh, he's just a friend from the gym," she'd said. "Helps me with self-defense stuff." Self-defense, my ass. Daniels leaned down toward my window, a smirk forming on his lips. "You know," he said slowly, "you really should check your mirrors more often." "What's this about?" I asked, my voice steady despite the boiling inside me. He straightened up, walked a slow circle around my car, then came back to the driver's side. "Let me make this easy for you," he said. "I'm taking your house. I'm taking your car. And I'm taking your wife." I blinked. "What did you just say?" He leaned in again, closer this time, almost whispering. "You heard me." I froze. The street was empty. No cars. No cameras. Just me, a crooked cop, and a betrayal I hadn't yet fully understood. I swallowed the lump in my throat and spoke carefully. "You done abusing your badge, officer?" He chuckled. "Oh no. I'm just getting started." And then he walked back to his cruiser and sat there, for a good minute, before finally pulling away and vanishing into the night. I sat still, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles went white. I felt like I'd just been hit by a truck. This wasn't some petty affair or rumor anymore. This was real. He wasn't just with her. He was after everything I had. And suddenly, it all made sense. The late-night texts, the gym clothes that didn't smell like sweat, the way she flinched every time I mentioned Daniel's name. This wasn't just betrayal. This was war. And I wasn't going to let him win. The morning after the traffic stop, I stared at myself in the mirror longer than usual. There were no bruises, no blood, but I felt like I'd been assaulted just the same. My reflection looked tired, angry, but more than anything, determined. I wasn't the kind of man who let things slide. Especially not someone threatening my home, my dignity, my marriage. As I poured myself a cup of coffee, Melissa walked in, wearing the same silk robe she always did on Saturdays. Hair still damp from a shower, smile rehearsed. "Too perfect." "Sleep okay?" she asked, sipping from her own mug. I watched her carefully. "Didn't get much. Had a strange run-in last night." "Oh." She raised an eyebrow, pretending to be concerned. "With who?" I let the silence hang between us for a beat. "Officer Daniels." That name made her flinch, just slightly, but enough. She covered it quickly with a sip. "What happened?" she asked, voice flat, uninterested. "He pulled me over. Said some interesting things." She looked down at her cup. "Daniels is intense. Maybe he was just messing with you." I leaned forward. "He told me he was taking everything from me." That made her freeze completely. The spoon she was stirring with hit the bottom of the mug and didn't move. When she looked up again, her face was composed, but her eyes weren't. "He's just messing around," she said quietly. "You know how cops are. They joke weird." "No," I said. "That wasn't a joke. That was a threat." Melissa didn't say anything. "I need you to be honest with me," I continued, my voice harder now. "Is there something going on between you two?" She hesitated, blinked, then gave a weak shake of the head. "No. Nothing. He's just protective. We've been friends a long time." I nodded slowly. "Right. Friends. I let her finish her coffee, say something about meeting her sister later, and leave for the day. The second the door closed, I grabbed my laptop and started digging. If Daniels was coming for everything, I needed to know how. And that's when I found it. Joint accounts I didn't recognize. Transfers I never approved. Credit cards opened in both our names, maxed out. Even my car title had a second lien filed that I had no knowledge of. It hit me like a freight train. They'd been planning this. Daniels wasn't just seducing my wife. He was helping her drain me. Assets, credit, reputation. I was being set up. And I was done playing victim. I called up a friend, Aaron, an ex-cop turned private investigator. We hadn't spoken in a few years, but he owed me one. Big time. Daniels, he repeated on the phone. Yeah, I know him. Dirty as hell. Protected by the union though, so he skates through everything. You got proof? Not yet, I said. But I'm about to. Aaron agreed to help. You get me something, anything, and I'll dig deeper. That guy's made enemies. Just gotta know where to look. By nightfall, I was done feeling shocked. I felt something else burning in my gut now, focus. Let them think I was weak. Let them think I was blind. They had no idea who they were messing with. And the game had just started. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I called in sick, but I wasn't resting. I was working. I started with the bank. I printed every suspicious transaction over the last 6 months. At first glance, they looked normal: groceries, gas, clothing stores. But then I noticed something. Most of them were just under $500. The same stores, the same intervals. Smuffing. They were keeping purchases under a threshold to avoid flagging fraud. Someone knew what they were doing. I highlighted each one. Next, I looked at the transfers. Melissa had moved money from our joint account to a sister emergency fund. That might sound innocent, except her sister, Julia, lived rent-free in a condo I helped buy 5 years ago. What emergency? The account it went to wasn't in Julia's name. It was in Melissa's, disguised as a family care fund. A second identity. Possibly a shell. I took a photo of the account screen and sent it to Aaron. 5 minutes later, he texted. Got something. Daniels co-signed a loan last week. Guess who was listed as the primary applicant? Melissa. They weren't hiding it anymore. In fact, they were getting bolder. I met Aaron later that evening at a diner outside town. He wore an old leather jacket and his phone was wrapped in a signal blocking case, standard PI stuff. He dropped a folder on the table. Inside, photos. Lots of them. Daniels and Melissa. At a hotel. Coming out of the same room. At a bank together. Daniels shaking hands with a guy I didn't recognize, until Aaron whispered, "That's a local money launderer. Real estate flipper. Known for scrubbing dirty cash." Melissa wasn't just cheating. She was laundering my life. This is deeper than personal, Aaron said, sipping his black coffee. She's not just sleeping with a cop. She's building something. And she's using you to fund it. I ran my hands over my face. How long? Aaron exhaled. Maybe a year. Maybe longer. The paper trail's fuzzy before that. But she's definitely been planning this for months. I got home late. Melissa was on the couch, pretending to read. Long day, she asked. I nodded. Went over some bank stuff. Found some weird charges. She tensed, just slightly. I told you, Julia's going through a hard time. Yeah, I replied. Funny thing though, those funds weren't going to Julia. She froze. They were going to you, I continued, my voice steady now. Under a fake name. Why, Melissa? She stood up. Defensive. Don't twist things. You've always been paranoid. This is exactly why Why you what? I stepped closer. Why you needed someone like Daniels. Someone who could protect you while you robbed me blind. That hit the mark. Her face crumbled, then hardened. You think you're so smart, she hissed. But you're just a spreadsheet. A boring, predictable spreadsheet. I needed more. Life with you was suffocating. I didn't say a word. I just let her talk. And talk she did. He understands me, she spat. He's not afraid to take risk. To build something big. And I'm not going to apologize for wanting a future that's actually exciting. I nodded slowly. Good, I said. Because now I know exactly what I'm fighting for. I walked into my home office, locked the door, and called Aaron. Time to make them pay, I said. I wasn't just angry now. I was focused. Melissa and Daniels thought they were smart, carefully moving money, crafting stories, hiding under the shield of a badge. But they underestimated the one thing I had that they didn't: patience. I didn't confront her again after that night. I acted like nothing had happened. I smiled, made dinner, even asked about Julia like I cared. Melissa relaxed, thinking I had accepted her excuses. But every moment she spent with me was a trap tightening around her ankles. I called Aaron again. We're going to need more than pictures, I told him. He already had a plan. Daniels isn't just a cop, Aaron said. He's dirty. I've seen these types. Narcotics, kickbacks, threats. He's using his badge to get what he wants. But if we push too hard, he'll bury the evidence. We need to hit both of them at once. So we built a timeline: every transaction, every hotel visit, every bank transfer. I visited a lawyer, off the record. She'd seen worse cases. If what you're saying is true, she said, flipping through the binder, this isn't just infidelity. It's financial abuse, possibly coercion and conspiracy to defraud. But I need hard proof. Screenshots aren't enough. I'll get it, I said. And I meant it. Over the next week, Aaron planted 2 hidden microphones. One in my living room, the other in Melissa's car. Both legal, since the house and car were in my name. It didn't take long before Melissa slipped. She had a call with Daniels in the car. She didn't know her phone was being mirrored through the car's audio system, where the mic was hidden. Her voice, smug and confident, filled the recording. Yeah, he's still clueless. Acting normal. Honestly, I think he's finally giving up. Just a little longer and the loan clears. Daniel's voice crackled on the other end. Good. Once it's done, I'll make sure he doesn't get in the way. He's not the kind to fight back. He's soft. My hands clenched. They had a plan, and they thought I was weak. I met Aaron again the next day. We reviewed the recordings. The timestamps matched the earlier transactions and hotel visit. The evidence was solid now. All right, I said. It's time. Aaron smiled. You want payback? No, I replied. I want justice. But if payback comes with it, I won't complain. The trap was simple. Melissa thought she was going to meet a potential investor for her startup at a luxury restaurant downtown. Daniels was supposed to join her later. What they didn't know was that the investor was an actor Aaron hired, and half the restaurant had been rented out, with microphones, cameras, and 2 off-duty federal agents observing from nearby tables. Melissa walked in, wearing a white blouse and expensive heels. Bought with my money, no doubt. She sat across from the investor, pitching her plan like a pro. I've already secured the first $150K, she bragged, and my boyfriend is a police officer, so everything's protected. No legal issues. We're covered. The actor leaned in, playing his part. So, the money's clean? Melissa nodded. All filtered. My husband has no idea. That's when the agents moved in. They didn't arrest her yet. Just asked her to step outside and answer some questions. She panicked, called Daniels, who was already being pulled over by internal affairs on a separate charge. Aaron and I watched the chaos unfold from a security room upstairs. He handed me a drink. To being underestimated. I didn't smile. Not yet. It's not over. Back home, Melissa stormed in hours later. Her makeup was smeared, and her voice was frantic. You set me up, she screamed. You think you're clever? I don't think, I said quietly. I know. She threw a glass across the room. It shattered. You ruined everything. We had a plan. Daniels was going to help me start over. I was leaving you, I know, I said. That's why I didn't stop you. I just made sure you left with nothing. She looked around. I had already changed the locks, frozen the accounts, and filed the paperwork for asset protection. Her name was being removed from everything. You'll regret this, she whispered. No, I said, stepping closer, you will. The next morning, I woke up to silence. Melissa was gone. But she didn't go far. She was staying at Daniel's apartment, at least, she thought she was. By noon, she was back at my door, banging like a wild animal. I opened it calmly. You froze my accounts, she shrieked. You're insane. You can't do this. I didn't freeze your accounts, I replied. I froze mine. You never had any of your own. She stared at me, lips trembling. Reality was setting in. You think you're smart? She spat. Daniels is going to take care of this. You messed with the wrong people. I almost laughed. Funny you say that, I said, stepping aside to show her the court summons on the table. Because your cop boyfriend? He's being investigated by Internal Affairs. For abuse of authority, falsifying traffic reports, and allegedly coercing a civilian. She didn't believe me. So I handed her the envelope. She tore it open, scanned the first page, and went pale. You had him followed? No, I said. I had you both followed, and recorded, and investigated. Turns out, when you steal money from your spouse and help a police officer extort people, the law takes interest. Meanwhile, Daniels wasn't doing any better. Aaron had sent everything to a friend in Internal Affairs. Not only did they open a case, but Daniels had already been on a watch list. Multiple complaints of using his badge to intimidate civilians, mostly men connected to women he was sleeping with. Melissa had never been the first. But now, she was the final straw. Within days, Daniels was suspended. His locker was cleared out. His service weapon confiscated. He was told not to contact Melissa, or me. He didn't listen. One night, my phone lit up. Unknown number. I picked up, knowing exactly who it was. You think you've won? Daniels growled. You think this is over? No, I replied. It's just getting started. You destroyed her life. She loved you once. You made her feel small. That's why she came to me. She came to you for money and excitement, I said. Don't rewrite it. He exhaled sharply. You're going to pay for this. You humiliated me. In front of my precinct. In front of her. No, I said coldly. You humiliated yourself. I just made sure someone was watching this time. Then I hung up. The following week, I sat across from Melissa at mediation. She wore a blazer, her hair tied tightly back. She looked like someone clinging to an identity that was crumbling. I want the house, she said to the mediator. I deserve it. I put in time. Emotional labor. I helped him grow. I stayed calm. I've submitted all the financials, I said. She forged my signature on a $60,000 transfer. That's felony fraud. She can take her clothes and personal belongings. That's all. The mediator paused, stunned. Melissa's eyes burned. You'd really let me walk away with nothing? I looked at her. The woman I once married. The woman who once cried during our wedding vows, promising we'd build an honest life. You walked away the day you let Daniels in, I said. This is just the receipt. Outside the office, she ran after me. I made a mistake, she shouted. He told me things, he said you didn't care. He said you were boring. Predictable. That you'd never fight for me. I stopped walking. I did fight for you. Every day. I worked late. I planned our future. I covered your debts. I forgave your lies. I just didn't realize you were the thing I was fighting against. She was crying now, mascara streaking down her face. Please, she whispered. Let's fix this. I shook my head. There's nothing left to fix. That night, I went home to a quiet house. It was peaceful. For the first time in months, I didn't feel like I was walking on eggshells or waiting for the next betrayal. I poured a glass of wine and looked out the window. Justice wasn't always loud. Sometimes it came in silence. Sometimes it looked like peace. But I wasn't done yet. Daniels still had one last lesson to learn. Daniels thought losing his badge was the end of his punishment. It wasn't. While his suspension was pending, Aaron and I took things a step further. Using the footage, witness statements, and financial records Melissa accidentally left behind, we filed a civil lawsuit for emotional distress, fraud, and harassment. Daniels ignored the initial notices. Then he received the court date. When he showed up, swagger gone, his lawyer looked frazzled. Turns out Daniels had a lot of skeletons. Not just me. Not just Melissa. Other men, other complaints, some with recordings. Some with restraining orders that were never enforced. Our case wasn't isolated. It was a pattern. I didn't use my badge to threaten him, Daniels told the judge. It was a routine stop. The judge raised an eyebrow. Then why is there body cam footage of you saying, and I quote, "I'm going to take everything from you, just like I took your wife?" Silence. Daniels clenched his jaw. Melissa sat behind him, head bowed. She didn't testify. Her lawyer advised against it. Too much liability. Aaron had connected us with a legal team who knew exactly how to handle abusive officers who overstepped boundaries. And we came prepared. By the end of the trial, Daniels wasn't just suspended. He was fired. Permanently disqualified from serving in law enforcement again. The civil court was even harsher. The judge awarded me damages for stress, career interference, and defamation. Daniels had to pay restitution or risk seizure of asset. Melissa was named as a cooperating party in the fraud claim, but I dropped it in exchange for waiving her alimony request. She walked away with nothing. Just her last name and her choices. Months passed. I healed. The house that once felt cold became a sanctuary. I repainted the walls, removed the photos, cleared the energy. I started hiking again, spending weekends with Aaron and his fiancée, learning how to live instead of just survive. I had been humiliated, yes, but I rebuilt from it, and that humiliation became my power. One rainy evening, I got a message from a burner account. "Bet you think you're a hero," it read. "Bet you sleep well. But I'm still out here. And I never forget." It was Daniels. I knew the tone. I didn't respond. Instead, I smiled, screenshot it, and forwarded it to my lawyer. Violation of a restraining order, again. The next day, a warrant was issued. And just like that, the man who thought he could take everything from me, lost everything himself. Some stories don't end with explosions. They end with paperwork, with silence, with a man standing alone, stronger than before, not because he fought harder, but because he chose dignity over rage and facts over fear. Melissa faded into the background. Last I heard, she moved out of state, changed her name. Daniels spent a short time behind bars, then vanished from public view. As for me, I started writing this story. Not out of revenge, but out of freedom. Because sometimes the people who try to destroy you are simply revealing who they always were. And when the dust settles and the lies are gone, you're still standing. Oh, wiser. Unbroken.